Spiritual Teaching 155. Love each other. 1. Many of the lessons that I am giving you at this time seem new to you because they remain forgotten by you. But this is the time when I will show you again. I have prepared for you a great countryside in which I invite you to, that you come to sow the seed of eternity, which is what I am giving you. 2. I come to prepare my new disciples, who will come to achieve, through their faith and charity, power over the diseases of the body and spirit, power over the elements, and also over the spiritual world. 3. Understand that these are no longer the times of ignorance. Now you live in the times of understanding and the great practices of my teaching. Can you imagine how far you would have already come, if from the earliest times you had practiced my lessons and obeyed my mandates? But for a long time you have slept, and also for a long time you have given yourselves to satisfy the flesh with pleasures, and all this has parked you on the path of spiritual evolution. So now that I have arrived before you with my new spiritual lesson, this seems strange to you and out of your way of thinking, feel and live as you do now. But it is enough for you to meditate in one of my lessons for you to recognize the truth of my word. Then you will see that my doctrine is not strange, but rather, what is strange is your way of life. 4. Come to my countryside, for I here will remind you of everything you have forgotten. I will erase everything that you should not keep as spiritual seed, and I will show you everything that until now you have not seen. In one step, I'll get you out of the stagnation in which you were submerged to make you penetrate into a new life, the one you should have lived since the beginning. 5. Do you see how humble this word is that flourishes on the lips of the spokesman? Well, truly I tell you that she, in her simplicity and in its poverty of form, will lead men to understand the wisdom that through science and with the help of theologies had not yet come to understand. 6. The good disciples, the persevering, the faithful, will be the great analyzers of this doctrine. They will also be humble, but despite their simplicity, they will amaze their brothers with the light of the word. 7. My people should not speak only with their lips, but will preach my teachings with their works, teaching how my law is fulfilled and respected. He will know how to give without selfishness what he has received from his Lord. He will show his zeal for the truth and purity of the treasure entrusted to him. 8. Teach your brothers in pure and high good deeds. Think that from here you should go purifying your spirit, so that when it passes to another dwelling, it is worthy of being in it, and do not be disturbed or lost. 9. You have the necessary strength to move away from your path everything that obstructs your path. You already know that the weapon that conquers all is love. Great will be the joy of the one who emerges triumphant in this human struggle and presents himself as the victorious soldier after having won that battle. 10. Remember that it is I who has given you the weapons, and that I have not specified only that, but I have also taught to fight to win battles. 11. What then do you have to look for in other ways, when I am giving you everything along the way of truth? 12. I have come to open the understanding of the clumsy so that they can enjoy the interpretation of my word. I have come to open the eyes of the blind to the light of the truth, so that they may be purifying of their sins by feeling loved by me. 13. Wasn't it prophesied to you from the earliest times that the day would come when all eyes would contemplate your Father? Whoever is clean will see me, and that will be his reward. And whoever carries a stain in his heart will also see me, and that will be his salvation. He who opens his eyes before my light penetrates the mystery and knows why, knows the beginning and the end, that you will have to walk firmly in the future. 14. Just interpret my teaching. Do not think that my spirit can enjoy seeing your sufferings on earth, or that I come to deprive you of everything that is pleasing to you. to enjoy it. I come to make you recognize and respect my laws, because they are worthy of your respect and your compliance, and why obeying them will bring you happiness. 15. I taught you to give to God what is God's and to Caesar what is Caesar's. But for the men of today there is only Caesar, and to his Lord has nothing to offer him. And if you at least gave the world just enough, your penalties would be less. But the Caesar that you have put before your actions has dictated absurd laws, has made you slaves and taken your life without giving you anything in compensation. 16. Study how different is my law, which does not bind the body or the spirit. It only persuades you with love and guides you with sweetness. Everything he gives you without interest and selfishness, and rewards everything and compensates you along the way. 17. Understand, disciples, study my lessons so that you know that I want to form with you a people in which the Father puts his trust, because you will be prepared to carry out great missions. A people that is not intimidated at the first alarm. A people that knows how to go out to meet the one who calls himself their enemy and who knows how to forgive him, love, and instruct. 18. This is how I want you to be prepared for the day of my departure. You all know that 1950 is the date set by my will, to stop communicating through the understanding of the spokesperson, and as my word is always fulfilled. That day I will close my communication, which marked for you the beginning of the third age. 19. You will not try to change that date, nor will you try by any means to retain the manifestation of my word in that form, nor that of the spirit world. From now on, I tell you that those who did it will no longer be illuminated by the Master's light. 20. But why should you fall into such profanation, when I have announced and promised you that after this time, you will communicate with me from spirit to spirit, even when you have not been pedestals? 21. I also tell you that those whom I have called and given as prophets of this time have the mission of preventing the crowds, of not letting them sleep. I will reveal great lessons to them to help you not fall into temptation. 22. I am speaking to you very clearly, even using the figurative sense, because I know that this way you will be able to understand me better. In the second era, when I spoke to the crowds, many times I did it through parables so that they would understand me. But when I addressed my disciples only, I did so with simple language, but profound in its teaching. 23. Therefore, understand that when I speak through parables and use the figurative sense, it is so that the last, the clumsy of understanding, or those who still have little evolved in their spirit, reach to understand all the meaning of my teaching. When I make revelations to you without using the figurative sense, they are intended for those whose development and knowledge of spiritual lessons enables them to understand better. 24. In vain many men will say that this doctrine is new, or that it has no relationship with the divine revelations made to you in times past. I assure you that everything I have told you at this time through human understanding has its roots and its foundations in what had already been prophesied to you in the first and second times. 25. But the confusion of which I speak will come because those who have interpreted those revelations have imposed on humanity his analyses, and these have been partly right and partly wrong. It will also be because that spiritual light of my teachings was hidden from men and has sometimes been made known to be adulterated. So now that the time has come when my light has come to bring you out of the darkness of your ignorance, many men have denied that this be the light of truth, since it does not agree, according to his criteria, with what he had previously taught you. 26. I assure you that none of my words will be lost, and that the men of this time will come to know what it was that I told you in times past. Then the world will say, when it knows spiritualism, actually, I had already said everything by Christ. 27. In fact, I have already said everything. Even though of many of the revealed truths, I only showed you the beginning of them. I left them for you to begin to understand them, because at that time humanity was not yet qualified to understand all that I have now come to show you fully. 28. On a certain occasion, Jesus was with a man who was understood in the law, and the teacher answering the questions of that one, he made a revelation. Then the man, amazed at what he had never imagined, said to Jesus, "Lord, but how can this be?" To which the divine master replied, "If you cannot believe in the earthly things that I tell you, how will you come to believe in the heavenly lessons? But it is time that you understand me, because the evolved spirit of man can receive that intense light of the divinity that reveals everything, discovers and explains it, and which you call the light of the Holy Spirit or the Spirit of truth." 29. Do not fear, beloved people. The teaching that I have brought you at this time will be for you the bread of eternal life. 30. Also now I am only letting you glimpse the teachings that you will fully understand tomorrow, because now many of you would not understand or believe them. With this I want to tell you that you have not yet reached the goal, the peak of spiritual knowledge, nor have my divine teachings reached their limit. 31. Be eternally my disciples. Always be jealous of my word, which you will never try to change. My law and my doctrine never contradict each other. In the divine all is order, harmony, and perfection, of which you can convince by the material nature that surrounds you. 32. In the second era, no one could resist the divine force that emanated from the word of Jesus. Who heard it was left to the point convinced, subjugated and persuaded. The sinner also the proud, the poor the rich, the Pharisee and the scribe, the representative of God, and the representative of Caesar. All who heard it felt their spirit shudder at the divine presence of the Son of God. 33. It is that the word of Jesus was only the explanation of his works, because the testimony of his existence was contained in the words of his doctrine. 34. In the same way Jesus taught his disciples, making them see that in order for his word to be believed, they needed to follow him with the example of their good works. 35. Also the word of God, on the lips of those disciples, made those who heard it shudder, because his eyes radiated light, and truth sprouted from his words that could not be denied. They also taught with their examples. They preached with their works and sealed them with their blood, just like their master. With his death confirmed the truth of the word with which they spoke to the world. That is why they conquered the hearts of the peoples and of the nations, where they brought the seed of truth and love. 36. The multitudes, even though they were Gentile and pagan, surrendered before the truth and purity of my doctrine, practiced and also preached with purity and truth. 37. Anyone who has had the happiness of receiving my word in its original purity in his heart, that one has never deviates from the path. But, alas, of those who have received it mixed with human impurities, those, when they have arrived to discover that imperfection, they have turned their backs on it and made fun of what they once took to be absolute truth. 38. Look at those great peoples of the earth, dominated by selfishness, that is the denial of my doctrine. Look at them sunk in materialism, living only for the world and ignoring all spiritual calls. I tell you that too they knew my teaching, but it is lacking that those who gave my seed had testified to that truth, with his life and with the example of his works, as did those disciples of the Lord and also some others who they later imitated, giving with their lives the truth of my doctrine. 39. How is it possible, you sometimes wonder, that this world, having been sown with the word of the Redeemer and watered with his blood and that of those who followed him, there are men and peoples who do not retain some of that teaching? 40. To which I tell you, In these times apostles of the truth have been lacking, who demonstrate with their works of love the errors of men, and prove the truth contained in the divine teaching. 41. From the practice of my doctrine, which only teaches you love, charity, respect, justice, and peace, it was passed to worship idolatry, materialism, religious fanaticism, desecration, and humanity. Feeling in all this a distance from the truth, he sought his release. 42. Today, not only have many moved away from the fulfillment of my doctrine, but they have attacked it and are trying to erase from the hearts of men to the last remnants of it. They do not know that I am willing to surprise them using that word that no one can resist, with that voice that made kings and lords tremble and that brought down thrones and empires. But it is necessary that first every plant that has not been sown by me be uprooted, so that my divine seed fall back into prepared lands. 43. Disciples, go to the bottom of this whole lesson so that you will be one of those who watch and pray in times of trial. 44. Nothing disturbs your peace at this moment. Nothing alters the recollection with which you have achieved your elevation. 45. Whenever you receive the Master in this way, you will feel the sadness that sometimes fill with fog so dissipate from your heart. 46. Great is my charity, because also great are your sufferings. But don't say that times have changed and that they have brought you pain, because times do not change. It is men who change. 47. Your life has been transformed because of science, new laws, ideas, and customs. If your spirit is always subject to spirituality, he would not suffer the contamination of the materialism that surrounds him. But he often let yourself be carried away by the influences of the world. At the culmination of materialism, my divine light comes to you to ask, what changes have you observed in the nature around you? None, but go beyond the forms of materials and you will see the spiritual and mental evolution of humanity. 48. The darkness that surrounds you is dense, and the spirit needs freedom. That freedom comes to give it my word that the prodigy that the spirit is reconciled with the matter when understanding that both are united by a single law. Matter and spirit will work in accordance with consciousness, which will reveal to you who you are and where you are going. 49. Your works will be born according to your way of thinking, and if the thought is illuminated with the inspiration of the Spirit and it listens to the voice of consciousness, your works will be perfect, since the Spirit is perfect in its origin. 50. I will always tell you, take from your world the satisfactions that it can provide, but take them under my law, and you will be perfect. 51. You frequently hear the claim of consciousness, and it is because you have not harmonized matter and spirit with the law given by me. 52. Many times you keep on sinning because you think you have no forgiveness. Ignorant belief, because my heart is an eternally open door for him who is regretful. 53. Doesn't the hope that encourages you to wait for a better tomorrow live within you? Do not be invaded by melancholy and despair. Think of my love that is always with you. Seek in me the answer to your doubts, and soon you will feel illuminated by a new revelation. The light of faith and hope will be lit deep within your spirit. Then you will be a bulwark of the weak. 54. Years of famine are approaching, but if you love each other as brothers, the miracle of the first era and the manna will descend on you. 55. I have come to unleash the language of men at this time, so that they recognize me by a single language, the spiritual, that of love. Then the prophecy of Isaiah will be fulfilled when he said, tongues will be loosed because tongues of fire will come to unleash them. 56. Manifest my charity. Speak of my work. Do not stop before the sacrifice. Make use of your weapons of love, charity, nobility, and temperance, and if you face the fight with faith and courage, you will soon be victorious. Moreover, in lies my word, so that you do not feel that my doctrine forces you to comply. Because I only invite you to listen to me, and once you have understood that he who does it out of love, out of conviction, out of his own free will, rise up to comply. My duty as father is to always show my children the way of salvation. 57. See, my beloved, how in this simple teaching you have a way of knowing and understanding my charity. I also come to seek the simplicity and purity of your heart, to manifest myself to you fully. 58. Now that it is the time of my communication, I am manifesting myself in all the spokespersons, giving through them orders and teachings. Who can dare to deny that I communicate through this or that one? Who is he who does really know my essence? Love and respect each other, so that your work may have merit in heaven. It is also my will that my word be printed so that future generations may know it. 59. For you to be recognized by your brothers, you have to ensure that your actions are always guided by love. Be sensitive to the pain of others. Separate with the power that I have given you the bad influences that disturb the health of your brothers, and you will be known to them as men of spiritual power. Hear my parable. 60. An old man was walking along a path, advancing slowly and laboriously. He was soon overtaken by two young men who they were happily marching along the same path, which said to him, "Good old man, is your goal still very far?" To which the old man replied, "The goal is distant, the road is still long, and you have to walk slowly so as not to lose heart. I believe, although I am tired, to arrive with a last effort." 61. Those young people, after listening to him, quickly continued their journey, forgetting the words of the old man and ironically judging the optimism of that old traveler who hoped to reach the end of the road, when according to them, he was about to fall. 62. The old man continued walking, and those young men who had moved away from him as soon as they were gone, later surprised by thirst, hunger and fatigue, falling at last overcome by fatigue. They were sleeping soundly when they were touched by the old man, who gently waking them up told them, "Boys, who in your youth have felt tired, do not take this long road with a dizzying pace. Let's go step by step, and I assure you that we will get there." But those waking up answered, "We have exhausted our last effort and we cannot continue. You have a staff and you can continue. We do not have one." 63. The old man, misunderstood when contemplating them like this, offered them a piece of bread with which he revived them, brought a little water to their lips and quenched their thirst. He helped them get up, accompanied them on the journey, and ignited their faith to make them finally reach the goal. 64. Analyze and study, beloved disciples, because you will have to be guides of humanity. My peace be with you.